You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Glee After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Glee After Show.
Love it.
Lovely dancer here.
Awesome. So awesome. Woo.
Miss Jessica Lasaka doing Gangnam Style for us tonight in honor of tonight's episode.
Yes, this was a big one, and it started out kind of with a big performance, and we had our own big performance in studio.
Thank
so
you, Jessica.
yes, thank you so much.
She's the Gangnam expert.
I
None
can
of
tell.
us could do it, so luckily we had an expert in studio today.
Exactly, because that would be an epic fail if I tried. But
No, I honestly danced the Gangnam Style in Studio A one day.
ooh, I wish I had been here for
And I
that.
have footage of it.
I'm going to YouTube that later.
Yeah, I think we all should.
Maybe you and Jessica should have a dance-off later.
Okay,
And see
I'm down for that.
Anyways, we should probably jump into Glee. I mean, we can talk about Gangnam Style all day long. I know I could. But Bing is for doing, and we're here doing another Glee after show. So tonight we're actually recapping 2 episodes, and last week we had Dynamic Duets, and that was on Thanksgiving night. And then tonight they randomly had Thanksgiving, and so that's season 4, episodes 7 and 8, and lots to talk about, obviously. What did you guys think?
Well, first of all, who are you?
Oh, I am Stephanie Wenger. I was just jumping so excitedly into Glee that I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Wenger, though.
That's awesome. Hi, Stephanie. I'm
And-
Marisa Serafini. Hi, everyone.
And I'm Sarah Mendoza, and our lovely dancer from earlier was Jessica Lasaka.
Woohoo! So,
Sarah and all the I'm trying to just get an adjective, but either way, she lost her clown nose, and her mic is way too far away from her face.
Oh,
So thank you, Sarah Mendoza. Thank you.
Let's get it by my face.
There you go.
Can
I'll
everybody
let
hear?
Stephanie continue talking while you fix your mic.
yes, so let's jump into tonight. We got to see kind of everybody from Glee. It was an episode where you know, the old cast, if we want to call it that, feels weird to say that, but Naya and Quinn returned,
Quinn's back.
which is
Yes.
great. Santana, Quinn, we saw them all kind of jump off in this episode and come back and be mentors to the new Glee Club, and that was super fun because we've always been missing people, kind of, and we always talk about, oh, we didn't have this person, we didn't have that one, and we also got to see Rachel and Kurt in New York, so we got a taste of everyone tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
But definitely, like, during that homecoming, like, gathering performance at the very top of the show, or tonight's show at least, I was missing seeing Rachel there with them and Kurt there with them.
True.
You know, it was
Yeah.
a little nostalgic. Like, it was cool to see Quinn back and everybody together, but I was getting a little bit sad that, you know, they've moved on to New York and people are obviously growing apart.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we obviously were missing Rachel and Kurt from that number, but I did like the fact that it was just the people who came back, just them singing, because we've heard Rachel and Kurt sing already and perform throughout this season, like regularly.
Yeah.
And so just to have these guys come back and have them perform together, I liked it.
And I loved that we were still with Quinn, kind of, it was still the Quinn from old times. It wasn't like she came back and she was, you know, this Yale person who, you know, didn't understand the high school experience anymore and seemed separated from the group. She jumped right back in and was...
Well, after her whole punk phase that she went through.
Oh yeah, that was not a good.
Questionable
That
thing.
wasn't even really Quinn though. She wasn't herself.
No, absolutely not. But and I love that she kind of took on mentoring. She was the one I felt like who really mentored all the girls in the group.
Yeah, a bit. No, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too, and
Well, she took the lead, and I think a big part of it was, and Kitty kept talking about it. She's pretty much a legend to the Cheerios, and girls look up to her, even though she had kind of a risque past there at the school. The girls aspired to be her on the cheer squad, and Kitty definitely made that known, and it was very flattering for Quinn in this episode. So I think she kind of owned it, was thankful for that, and said, you know what, I'm going to use my power or whatever it is as best as I can, and I'm going to help these girls bloom.
Yeah,
Good.
and
Yeah.
she also stood up for herself in a way that we hadn't really seen before. With Santana, she, was unwilling. She was like, you're getting in the way of what I think is right, and she was like, you're blaming Kitty for everything that's going wrong, even though Santana was absolutely right to do that, as we saw later in the episode. But she stood up and was like, Kitty's not doing anything wrong, and blah blah blah, and she really kind of stood up for what she believes in.
It's almost as if she's just assuming that protector role for the girls, because not only was it with Kitty, but with Marley as well, right? Because she wanted to protect Marley from the Puckerman boys,
So
because
true.
she had her whole ordeal with Puck before, and now with the little brother, she doesn't want to see that. He's also going to break sweet Marley's heart.
I think it was interesting how Quinn didn't see how mean Kitty is, and I think it's the fact that yes, Kitty idolized her, and I think she took that and just like overlooked everything else about Kitty, and that just kind of blinded her a bit.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of understandable in that, like, Quinn has always wanted to be the admired one. She was the one going after prom queen, all of that, and to have someone finally be admiring her, I mean, I think that that's exactly what she, always dreamed of.
And that's true, because we've seen in previous seasons that Quinn talks to Rachel, and she's always saying Rachel has everything, and like she gets all the better numbers and whatnot. And so once Quinn realized that she's getting all this attention from other people, she loves it.
Yeah, and I
Embracing
mean,
it.
we can jump into this a little bit in predictions, but I kind of felt like I'm so excited to see the Quinn and Rachel reunite, maybe in New York. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's like, it sounded so,
Better.
I know, amazing.
Well, they kind of hinted to it because she hasn't used the ticket yet that, she's been given, right? So she kind of mentions that I still have that ticket that I can use.
Right.
Quinn gave the ticket to Rachel,
True.
and they mentioned that Rachel was the one that gave it to Quinn. Was actually Quinn that gave it to Rachel.
Yeah.
So they had it backwards?
They had it
or something?
backwards.
They had it backwards, and they got it wrong.
That's, a mistake
so
on Glee.
Marisa knows more than the showrunner.
I was going to say, good catch, Marissa. All right, because I was like, oh, yeah, ticket. That happened. Like, I remembered it, but you remembered all the details.
We should write them.
Write them and just be like,
Got this detail
Marissa
wrong.
says that.
Come on.
Marissa knows all. We should all bow down to Marissa. But you can totally let us know what you think of what we're doing here, and Marissa's good catch. Comment on that, all of that over on iTunes, and really a fun way to comment and rate, and helps us know what you like and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, because we
love
just
it.
love hearing from you guys, whether it's good or bad. Our goal is to put on a good after show for you guys. We are Glee fans. We're Gleeks, and we know that you're Gleeks too. So we just all want to, come together and talk about a show that we enjoy. So weigh in, comment, and rate on iTunes.
Love it.
And yeah, one of my favorite things from this episode was actually from the past two episodes actually, was this ongoing love triangle that we have between Jake, Ryder, and Marley.
Yeah, that's. I like the fact that Jake and Ryder, like, they have this newfound bromance going on from last week's.
Bromance.
Yeah, they're finally getting along, and it's enjoyable. to
That's so
watch.
funny, because naturally you would want to talk about Marley and them,
Right,
but she goes
but-
straight to the bromance.
Yeah, it's
Well, last week we saw them literally fighting twice in the episode, and then this week they truly have each other's backs and supporting each other.
I think that what was most touching, I was actually watching this episode with my family last week, and my mom and I were just so touched by when I guess Ryder admitted to the fact that he couldn't read and ended up having dyslexia in the episode, that that Jake stood up and, you know, told Finn about it so he could get the help he needed, because this is obviously something they're juniors about, and it's something he's been struggling with for a long time.
Right. And what I like that they're doing with it, with his character, with Jake, is that they're not making him exactly like his older brother, because it shows that he's a bit more mature than his older brother, because you know that Puck wouldn't have done that. You know, he would have been beating him up or something, or just being the poor sport about everything. But he's actually showing that he's got a heart and he cares about this guy.
Yeah.
And he wants to help him out.
I kind of feel like he's in a lot of ways 180 degrees from Puck. Like, Puck has a good heart, but you kind of had these moments of seeing it, but it was few and far between, kind of. Where with his brother, you kind of see it all the time, that he's this good guy, but he's struggling kind of in the opposite way. He's struggling a little bit, but he's trying to be the good guy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of opposite, where Puck is more so on the bad side, where there's glimpses of goodness, and then Jake, he's more so on the good side, where he kind of falls back into bad habits from time to time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So they're kind of opposite.
I kind of agree. But so who do you think that Marley is more into, Jake or Ryder? This was like the thing that kept popping up in my head throughout the episode tonight.
Well, last episode is different than this episode, I'll say that.
Yeah, it's true.
I definitely, as much as it pains to say this, I'm gonna say Jake, because when you see them together, it's real, it's genuine. They really do care about each other, and Ryder is just the person who has, you know, that puppy love, and he's just trying to get Marley, but I think Marley already has a thing for Jake. And Jake was before Ryder, so there's always, you know, your first crush or whatever this is going to be.
I know. I'm starting to feel like Jake really, really wants to be with her, but so does Ryder. So I'm torn between who would be better for her. There's moments of both of them, and last week, as you said, a different answer than this week, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like for Marley, in my opinion, I think she kind of was into she's into both of them, obviously. And since she's into both of the men, or guys, boys, whatever,
you know,
they're not men yet, they're still boys. She's into both of the boys. I think it's whoever was going to step it up and like try and win her over. And although both of them are being sweet to Marley, obviously Jake's a little bit more aggressive about it. You know, so he's going to go there and go take her.
And Puck is totally encouraging that type of behavior, to be aggressive with her and, you know, and get in there rather than kind of take the slow route. And that's definitely what we're seeing with Ryder. He had to cancel a date in last week's episode, which actually opened the door for Jake, because he had, I think he had to get like tutoring for his learning disability. Yeah,
and we also saw last week that Jake called Puck, and Puck being in LA, I'll love it, and we'll touch more on that. But he called Puck, and Puck, you know, gave him advice. So yes, it is being proactive and actually, you know, doing something about it. Completely,
I couldn't agree more. I feel like right now Jake definitely has the upper hand, but we still have the Christmas episode to go, and we always know that in Glee that's a game changer. Yes. Christmas episodes change everything. So.
And I don't really think that Ryder is trying at all right now, because he's kind of resigned to letting his friend go ahead and go for it. You know, he's not going to be that guy that disrespects his friend after having that conversation and goes behind his back to try and steal her away.
I agree. And also tonight, it's not just Marley that he's taking a step back from. It was also in the performance he took. He didn't want the lead anymore. He realized that Jake was the better dancer, and so he stepped down and gave it to Jake, even though Jake was willing to teach him how to dance properly. So we're definitely seeing a lot of that bromance.
Yes.
So, yeah, I just felt like with this episode, I wanted kind of a conclusion. I mean, not a conclusion, but I guess more about Jake and Ryder and Marley. I felt like we're still very much like, how's it going to go? We're in the middle of this love triangle, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. But I really did like the moment right before they took the stage where Jake stepped in and comforted Marley because she was so anxious and nervous about, you know, going on stage and doing well. And that showed that genuine concern that he has for her. It's not just, oh, he wants to hook up with her. He really cares about the well-being of this girl.
And I think there was another factor why I keep wanting to call him Blake, but Ryder, why Ryder stepped down. I think another factor might be because Ryder realizes that Marley might be more comfortable on stage if she danced with Jake instead of him. Even though Jake is, yes, the better dancer, but I think that might be another thing
And
why he stepped down.
we also haven't gotten into Marley's major storyline of tonight, which was her continuing issues with the eating disorder. She, I mean, at Kitty's kind of doing, she's throwing up her food and I guess taking laxatives. Santana found laxatives in her bag. She's having a major issue. She's not really eating, and we saw her kind of struggling with her health tonight too. We knew it was going to take a turn. We all predicted it, that she was not going to be so healthy. And everyone's asking her, is she okay? Is she okay? And she's like, I haven't slept, eaten in days, obviously. And you kind of, and obviously at the end of this episode, I mean, we can just jump to it and say that at the very end of the episode, you see her passed out on stage and everyone running towards her, and we don't know till next week.
I mean,
what's
it's
gonna
tough
happen.
being that age, and even, you know, at the age that we're at now, where we're older than that already. People struggle with those kind of issues about physical appearance, body image, and when there's somebody telling you and kind of egging you on, like, yeah, you really need to lose that weight and be perfect. It's tough, especially when you're in those formative years where you're still trying to find your true security in yourself. You know, you're more susceptible to falling into that kind of behavior where you're harming yourself just to fit the mold.
Yeah, and last week, Kitty's such an instigator in all of this, because last week we hear Marley, she says that she's been throwing up her food every day that week, and when Kitty was talking to Marley, she keeps mentioning looking fat and not being heavy or anything. She says looking fat. Like, that's very degrading, and so just that imagery, you know, would make Marley do it even more.
It just makes me question every time that Kitty goes after her. It shows how insecure Kitty really is about herself. Because if you're going after someone else about how fat they are and how awful they look, it's how you ultimately probably feel inside, I would imagine.
Yes.
And plus, she's probably bitter because she was dating Jake. You know, that was her man at the beginning of this whole season, you know, and now he's left her for Marley. So she's probably got that in the back of her mind, like, this is the girl that took away my boyfriend.
It's so true.
And I need to prove that I'm better than her, so I'm going to tell her that she's not as skinny as I am or whatever.
And Marley, you know, she is getting lead songs and stuff, so Kitty also has that vendetta against her, just to, you know, knock her down a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, as we mentioned, kind of are seeing all these new characters come out, and they're getting a lot of the major storylines, but it was nice to have everybody back. And if you need to catch up on anything Glee related, you can go to Amazon and, you know, get all the season 1 through 3 DVDs, and just go actually to AFTERBUZZTV.com, and then there's a link over to Amazon, and it gets a little bit back to us, and it helps us out a little bit, and so we can continue to do tons of fun programming for you. I think we have 40 shows. Is that right, Phil? Something like that?
That's right. Shop for the holidays, shopaholics.
Yes.
You're not American unless you get people a lot of expensive gifts. And do it online. Why? Because you want to sit at home and watch Glee. Why do you have to leave your house?
Exactly, and you don't have to deal with crazy parking lots, which is what I've been dealing with all week.
You know, I actually bought season 1 and 2 of Glee on DVD.
Ooh.
So
Last
you bought
week.
my present for me already.
Yeah. That's what Sarah's expecting.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big Amazon shopper too, so I'm excited to
Love it.
do it through AFTERBUZZ. So yeah, click on to AFTERBUZZ and then over to Amazon. But we should jump back to Glee here, and this was sectionals. I can't believe we're all ready to sectionals. I
Yeah.
feel like normally it's later on. Doesn't that feel, I don't know, it feels really soon for sectionals.
I think with previous seasons, there's such a build-up for sectionals. The focus is sectionals, you know, whereas now we've got multiple plot lines that are
There you go, Sarah.
That we're
I was
following.
gonna say, second time I had to yell at you.
I felt the eyes just burning into the side of my head here, looking at my mic. No. Okay.
And Sarah yet again has it one more time farther away.
Oh no.
Marisa,
Look at-
can
What
you
is
show?
It's
what
a
is
delicate
wrong
balance.
with this thing?
Can you show her how to do this?
There we go,
Sarah's
girl.
never hosted.
Never. This is my first time.
Looking good, Sarah. I think you got it. You got it right for now.
Lost my train of thought because somebody was bothering me over there. No. Just kidding. Okay.
a
where-
Everyone has to look here. You'll
Sectionals and how.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So I was just saying, with the previous seasons, if you didn't hear me because my mic was away from my mouth, there's such a build-up for sectionals. That is the main goal for these kids. And now we're following so many different plot lines other than sectionals. I think that's why we're missing the build-up to this actual night.
Yeah, I think that
for
there's
them.
been so much going on, and it's also has these new characters that you know, we've had to get introduced to, and all of that. It feels like it's finally like sectionals, and I feel like this was the first week in a long time that we've seen this gelled group. For a long time, there's divisions in the new group and kind of a divide between the old group, and other than Rachel and Kurt, we kind of had everyone together. And this is the first week we've really had that happen. And sectionals was really fun. We also had the Warblers back, which was cool to see. I mean, without Blaine, and Blaine almost in last week's episode went back to the Warblers, which is crazy to think about. He was hurt over Kurt and thought, like, maybe I'll go back there, and they love me, and they gave him, you know, his blazer back, and, you know, and he fits in there, and I think he said that it was like his legacy to be there, or something.
His birthright.
His birthright.
His birthright and destiny.
See, Marisa just has all the details. I should always turn to Marisa. But
I was a little worried for a second. Last episode, I thought he might go there.
He
looked so comfortable singing with them.
Well, that's where he first started originally, so yes, that is his home, like original place.
It is.
And he rocked that song, so it was like, oh my gosh, he is so good with them.
But Corey won him over. Actually, Finn. I would just want to call them all by their actors' names. Finn and Sam won him over and got him back to the Glee Club. But we did see the Warblers do a great job tonight with 2 songs. And we'll get into all those songs later on in the show. But they did a great job. And then we, of course, got to New Directions. With Gangnam Style, as we saw earlier in the show, and we kind of saw the dance level of the entire cast, which was, you know, a side note to the episode, but there were definitely some people who were on the dances and others who struggled a little more with it, and I mean, I respect it all because I don't think I could do much better. But
I guess, what does that say? That Jessica can actually do it in studio?
I know.
Our Glee cast can't even.
We're all very impressed. Yeah, I mean, they probably had 18 choreographers working with them on that, and some of them still were struggling a bit.
What did you think about that song as a choice for their sectionals performance? I'll ask you first, then I'll respond.
Oh, for me, I felt like it wasn't a bad choice. It's been a song of the year. I mean, it makes sense for Glee to cover it. I don't know that it was my sectionals choice, or if they did do it for sectionals, I definitely wanted a second song, something like that big ballad that we normally get from Rachel, and I don't know who would be able to do that in the cast, but
Marley, maybe.
Marley would be,
See, if Marley hadn't passed out, we probably would have gotten to the ballad big number, because usually during sectionals they performed 3 different songs, and that was only the first one, and then Marley passed out. But to answer your question, like Stephanie said, that is a big number. Everyone knows it. But I don't know. It was definitely fun for Glee, and I can understand why they would cover it, but I don't think it would really. It's not necessary to cover that particular song.
And I agree that it's so fitting for Glee to cover such a highly publicized song that's really hot right now. But, you know, they could have put it in another episode maybe, rather than having it be the opener for their sectionals performance.
Yeah, I just wanted, I guess, a big moment from them, and that song, as fun as it is, seemed a little anticlimactic to me.
Right. Like, if this was the real world and it was that performance against what the Warblers did, sad to say, but our Glee cast would not have won. You know, it would have been the Warblers.
Yeah.
As of right now, probably yes.
I agree. So maybe we should jump into some songs. Ready to do songs? So we have a bunch of songs, and we'll briefly do last week's stuff, but
what is this?
This is the rock alternative to Gangnam Style.
Love it.
It's a song from the 90s.
According to who, Speed Tech?
You got the right to shake your booty.
So you have to demonstrate now how to shake your booty.
I actually heard the song like a couple days ago.
Was Phil playing it all day or something?
Yeah, I think Martin was.
No, it's actually the only reason I know it was because our co-founder Kevin Undergaro for MTV, when they did Singled Out, that was a song.
Oh my
God. So much
and,
fun.
And unlike Gangnam Style, there was actually not a very big song, but they were trying to make it big, which was a funny idea. Anyway.
No.
Check it out. You got the right to shake your booty.
Woohoo! All right. So we'll start out with last week. The Warblers did "Dark Side" by Kelly Clarkson, which I loved. I thought
great song.
Great song and a great choice for them. And with this week them doing New Direction, it felt like different choices. I like seeing the variety with the Warblers. And then Sam and Blaine, which I don't think we've seen them sing together before. Sam and Blaine, like just the two of them. I don't remember that ever being a...
That was such a handsome performance.
It was a handsome performance. I love your description.
I find them both to be so attractive.
Yeah. And it was Hero by David Bowie, and it kind of was all a hero theme because they all dressed as superheroes last week, and so much fun. And I love this song anyways, but Ryder and Jake doing Superman, which was a really fun performance because it was the beginning of the bromance.
It started off as a little competition though, right?
Yeah, that was when they were both fighting for Marley's affection.
I really liked it when they ripped off their shirts. Naturally, I like that part.
and I also loved it because it said MS, and then Artie was like, "Isn't that a degenerative disease?"
Right. I was thinking Mendoza Sarah, like they were like into me for a second. No.
So true.
No.
Mega stud.
Wishful thinking again.
Of course. And the one that I wasn't such a fan of, even though Marley does have a great voice, was Holding Out for a Hero. It just, for some reason, didn't click for me in the best way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was good when Kitty and Marley performing together. It was a nice performance, but I've heard that song way too many times.
Yeah, and performed by everybody.
Yeah.
You and I were on the same page with that.
We always agree.
Always agree. We're just always
we need
right.
Some, like, mix in here.
Yeah.
Sarah.
I think Marley could have showed also a little bit more of a superhero, like, courageous attitude to this song rather than her sweet self. You know, she was kind of being the wallflower performing.
That was her thing, WF, wallflower.
Yeah.
Which Kitty changed it to Woman Fierce.
I like it.
Which she, in my opinion, did not embody in that performance.
Nope.
No.
Which is why.
She's still a wallflower.
This week we got a great start to the episode. I think this was one of my favorite performances of the season, actually. I love this. I love one of the songs, and I love Simon and Garfunkel too. But Homeward Bound / Home, kind of a medley of the two, by Philip Phillips and Simon Garfunkel. And it was Quinn, Puck, Mercedes, Santana, Mike, and Finn all doing it together, which just so much fun to have them all back.
Great opening. And I like how they all came from the different parts of the theater.
Right. I had goosebumps.
Yeah, you guys were super into it. I loved it. It was
great opening.
And then Brittany, Santana, and Quinn, which a girl power performance right there. The Supremes, Come See About Me.
just because I love the Supremes, I think this was one of my favorite performances of the night.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
and for me, Quinn's aura reminds me of that like 60s, 70s type of girl. So I thought it was so fitting for her character to be the lead in that performance.
And I loved how Quinn had like led both of those songs. She led the opening because we started the episode right on her.
Right.
And then this song as well. So.
Well, I think all the fans have been waiting so long for her to come back that they needed to have her be a major part of this episode.
Right. I hope it doesn't mean she won't come back again.
I hope so too. I love her, so it's awesome. And then we mentioned a little bit about the Warblers, but they did Live While We're Young, which is a One Direction song, and it got stuck in my head always. So I was like, immediately I knew like from the first beat what it was, which is really sad. But
and I didn't know it at all.
That song has been stuck in my head for weeks, but that's fine. And then Whistle by
Flo Rida.
Whistling by Flo Rida.
You know what was funny about when they were singing the whistling? And I don't know, I've done years of musical theater, and whistling on stage is actually bad luck.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
It's bad luck in theaters, and they're all whistling on stage. I'm like,
However, we all know that they're not actually talking about whistling.
Yeah, I know, but
it's such a dirty connotation, that song.
I know, but
so true.
I mean, that's an interesting point, but
but they were physically whistling too.
So. Yeah,
right.
True.
Well, maybe that means they'll lose. Hopefully.
Well, we don't know yet. It's gonna be big.
Cliffhanger.
And then we had kind of it wasn't a mini performance, but it was an unexpected performance. Sarah Jessica Parker obviously returned as Isabel, with Kurt and Rachel in their apartment, singing the Scissor Sisters. Let's Have a Kiki. Is that right? That's what it's at. And I looked it up. I was like, okay, that's the name of the song.
It was
Never heard the
mashup
song.
too, with Turkey Lurkey Time.
I mean,
by Promises.
So much fun, that performance.
Honestly, this was my favorite of the night.
Really? Okay.
I loved it. It was so like Vogue, dramatic, and I'm like a musical freak, so dramatic Vogue like really gets me.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm such a huge Sarah Jessica Parker fan. So.
I can't get enough of her, and she's so good on Glee that it's fun to have her back, kind of in New York City, and it feels different from Sex and the City, but still in that same fun vein.
Yeah,
for sure.
it was fun. It was quirky, and I loved how they suddenly tied in the "Let's eat turkey."
Yeah, and Brody was there and kind of didn't know how to handle it at all. And
I also thought it was beautifully shot. It kind of reminded me, I don't know if you've seen Rent the movie.
Yes.
But just how like the camera is showing all different angles of that room and all the chaos is going on. I just thought it was so cool how it was done and directed.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of them though, you kind of saw that Kurt is forgiving Blaine a little bit. He gives him a call and maybe not forgiving, but trying to at least have a conversation, open the door to Blaine. And Rachel has a moment at least with Brody while they're preparing the turkey, which was so creepy.
I think they had a moment with the turkey.
That was weird.
It was weird. It was a little awkward.
They were rubbing the turkey.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which sounds really wrong, but they were literally massaging the turkey together.
In a very sexual way.
Honestly, okay, as gross as it is, their chemistry is so hot. There's so much like tension there.
I have to say, I think I say it every week, but I'm a huge Finchel fan, but I agree their chemistry is great. But I still want Finchel back together. On that note, should we get into some news and gossip?
Sure. Let's do it.
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
So a little bit of Ryan Murphy kind of does a few things where he gives clues on his Twitter, and he recently tweeted out a picture of Finn taking a scenic nighttime stroll with Marley, which got all the fans kind of outraged about it, and they were like, is there a romantic relationship between Finn, who is a teacher, and Marley? And I wouldn't have thought that when I looked at the photo. You'll have to go to Ryan Murphy's Twitter to check it out. But I but I was right, and that is not actually happening, at least according to the actress who plays Marley.
Lets out a sigh across the world.
Exactly. Melissa told The Hollywood Reporter, they're cut from the same cloth. They both are loyal people, very determined, and want to do what's right. They both care about this Glee Club like crazy, and in that respect, they definitely see eye to eye. They have a connection, but I don't think it's anything romantic. And so I think it's safe to say that door is definitely shut, especially after seeing the scenes from next week's episode. Hopefully it will...
Well, that's good, but I can see why people might think something's going on, because we all know that Quinn has a thing for women who have lead roles, you know?
Yeah.
Rachel had, like, every lead song, and that turns him on,
So true.
I can understand why people might think that.
I mean, and it was like a little bit of a sweet scene. I think we've seen similar things with Rachel before, so maybe fans weren't totally crazy for thinking it. I'm just glad that it's not actually happening, because that's a little too creepy even for Glee. And then we have some news on the kind of on the gossip front, I guess. Leah Michelle and Corey Monteith, we talk about it all the time, are actually a couple in real life, and they're becoming a little more open about it. They've hid it for a long time, that they kind of were spotted out by paparazzi but never talked about it particularly. And Leah Michelle opened up to Flair magazine and talked about that, you know, he's such a sweet guy to her, and how all Canadian guys are, you know, like good guys, but he's the best. And yeah, she says, you know, Canada makes some great dudes, and he's definitely one of them. Just the sweetest, nicest guy in the world. Yeah, I mean, super sweet and awesome.
That's cute.
And then also kind of Corey is opening up as well. He tweeted a picture last week over Thanksgiving break. They obviously had a hiatus from the show, and they went back to Vancouver, where he's from, and he tweeted a picture of them snowboarding together. So definitely opening up a little bit. And I know you have something else there.
Yeah, well, according to wetpaint.com, Leah Michelle has also expressed her love for Chris Colfer's book that he's put out.
Such a cute book.
It's a children's book called The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell. So for all you fans out there who want to go find it and buy it, maybe on Amazon through AFTERBUZZTV.com.
Nice.
The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell. So she says she's been reading it now, and that she absolutely praises Chris for what he's done with it. And she can't wait to see the other stories that it comes out with. But a really fun children's book that he has out there.
Woohoo! I saw it in Barnes & Noble, and it looks super cute.
And you didn't buy it?
I didn't buy it, but I did look at it, and it's adorable. I actually work with kids, so maybe I will buy it.
You can buy it on Amazon.
I can buy it on Amazon and do that. And should we get into some predictions?
Yeah, well, one more thing, though, I wanted to say.
Ooh, I think we're going to have to wait till next week.
Point out that I thought was cool for Gangnam Style. Although we thought it was a fun performance, maybe not the best for sectionals, what I thought was cool is they all learned Korean for this performance.
Yeah. I know, that's crazy. And
I think it's funny that Jana I don't know how to say her last name. Tina Oshkowitz. She's Korean American, but she actually speaks no Korean. So they put her as the front lady for that song because she's Korean, but she had to learn it also herself.
Yeah, she said it took her hours to do, which is understandable.
And she had to learn phonetics and all that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, just a huge challenge, but they pulled it off. I mean, it was a great performance.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't too far from
exactly.
what we've been hearing every 5 minutes on the radio.
And
but then again, we don't know Korean, so of course that sounded really
that's
good.
true. That's true. We probably should get someone who knows Korean in here.
I have a lot of Korean friends, and I'm around it a lot, and I think it was pretty good.
I was gonna say, check in with them, see what they think. But
they think it's hilarious, by the way. I've actually talked to them. They think it's hilarious that it's become so popular in America. They actually live in Korea, and I was Skyping with them about it, and they think it's hilarious that it's become such a hit.
It broke Justin Bieber's like "Baby." It's the most watched YouTube video.
Gosh.
Yeah,
that was a huge song.
I know, just crazy to think about. But we should get back to Glee, and I'm so excited for next week's episode. And
so excited.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Woohoo! We can never get enough of this.
That's right.
Jessica, come back up here.
So fun. But we kind of saw lots of drama going on next week. And
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
And we saw a brief kiss moment between Sam and Brittany.
So I guess our prediction is that Brittany's bisexual.
Yeah. Or at least
kind of knew
exploring.
Brittany was bi, at least bi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she hooked up with Artie earlier in the seasons, and, you know, she hooked up with Santana, so we knew she was at least bi.
So, yeah, and I'm excited also. I think that hopefully by Christmas we'll see Blaine and Kurt reunited, which I think is another one that I'm so been waiting for.
I know a spoiler alert, and I'm not going to say it now.
Don't say it now. Say it off camera.
Spoiler alert.
We'll discuss it next
Spoiler
week.
alert.
So if you want to hear what happens with that, you
Yeah.
You can't tell us that and not tell us.
No, I can't. No.
Gonna wait till next week.
You're gonna
Can't.
do that. Okay.
Unnecessary roughness.
I was gonna say party foul. All right,
Yes, that's true.
Marisa, any good predictions?
Well, not so much actually. I think that I'd love to see more Quinn, and I still think that something between Will and Emma's gonna go down. I mean, I hate to see them break up, but I think there's gonna be a big fight because now that Will's in Washington D.C., there's distance, and that's never good.
And I think that Santana is going to kick Sam's ass, at least verbally or something.
Ooh, okay. Good
Something to think about,
predictions.
yeah.
Let us know what you think. Tweet us. You can tweet me at Stephanie Wenger, and you can obviously tweet at AFTERBUZZ TV as well.
And I am Marisa Serafini, and I changed my Twitter thanks to Kevin, who's been yelling at me for the last 2 weeks to change it. So it is at Serafini TV. So if you had trouble spelling my first name, now you're going to have trouble spelling my last name. It's
Yeah.
yeah. There
Go
you
ahead. Yeah.
It's Serafini TV.
Nice. All right. And
And I'm Sarah Mendoza. You can tweet me at SARAH Mendoza with a Z.
thank you so much for watching. And next week we'll have some special guests for you too. So.
Yes, we will actually have some Glee Project people on our
Yes.
show.
Woohoo!
So excited.
Abraham
and Christy will be back on our show hosting with us next week.
Yes.
Yes. Shout out to Christy.
Yeah, and Abraham will be in studio with us. So,
So
excited to have
him
that
back.
happen. Thank you so much for watching. So.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자 밤이 오면 심장이 뜨거워지는 여자 그런 반전 있는 여자 너는 선어해 낮에는 너만큼 따사로운 그런 선어해
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.